Welcome. My name is Caitlyn Hughes. I'm the Executive Director with Solar Cookers International, and we are so thankful to the U.S. Climate Action Center for this opportunity to present as a part of COP26. Also, thank you to the Climate Nexus for their role in this as well. We have some exciting speakers on our agenda today where you'll get to hear more about solar cooking, Solar Cookers International, the Keeling Curve Prize, and the different aspects of Solar Cookers International's work. So we'd like to start with a couple logistics. First of all, thank you for joining. And this presentation will be recorded. All participants will be muted during the presentation to preserve sound quality, and questions will be addressed as time allows. Please email any questions that you may have to info@solarcookers.org. So what exactly is a solar cooker? There are hundreds of different types of solar cookers, but they apply the same basic concepts to utilize thermal energy to cook food. Starts by collecting light. This can be, for example, the reflectors that you see to direct it, and then absorbing light. So there's usually for example, clear or plastic lid or container that acts kind of like a greenhouse to help retain heat. And solar cooking is easy and efficient, and of course, it is safe and sustainable. So what are the different types of solar cookers? There are some very broad categories that help you understand more about solar cooking. There are reflective panel cookers, as you can see on the left. There are box oven cookers. There are parabolic reflective cookers. Those can get to higher temperatures, for example, for frying foods. There are Fresnel lens solar cookers, evacuated tubes, and Fresnel mirrors. Of course, there are also institutional solar cookers, and these can look like systems on rooftops. So there's some great examples in India, for example, where Solar Cookers International hosted the 6th SCI World Conference. These can generate steam, which can then be pumped to an indoor kitchen, as you see here. So now, who is Solar Cookers International? We are the nonprofit that is leading the solar cooking sector since 1987. We have hundreds of collaborators in over 135 countries. And our mission is to improve human and environmental health by supporting the expansion of proven, clean, and sustainable cooking technologies in vulnerable regions. So Solar Cookers International is working to address a challenge that affects approximately 3 billion people, so about 40% of the world's population, who are cooking over open fires. This is astronomical. And so we know that solar cooking is an incredibly appropriate technology, off-grid solution. Some basic solar cookers can be made with any reflective material like tinfoil and cardboard. And as I described, there's all the way up to the institutional style solar cooking. So when looking at this broad sector, we say, how can Solar Cookers International best address this global challenge? And the way that we answer that question is through three main ways: advocacy, capacity building, and research. And so we're going to go into more of that throughout this presentation to give you some concrete examples. And to expand a little bit on why solar cooking is so important, both as a health and environmental topic, there's zero fuel cost. Free solar energy is delivered to our doorsteps every single day, and we can all benefit from utilizing this solar energy that's delivered free of charge. There's zero air pollution, zero greenhouse gas emissions, zero inhalation of smoke, which is so important since cooking over open fires predominantly affects women and children. It reduces deforestation because then these approximately 3 billion people don't need to go out and cut down forests in order to have firewood to burn to cook their food. They can use solar energy from the sun converted to thermal. It can be used for drying food. Solar cooking can also pasteurize water, so reducing waterborne diseases. And there's zero time or danger from collecting biomass fuel, because this can be a very dangerous journey, especially if there's conflicts between populations over resources, can especially be a risk for gender-based violence, animal attacks. There's just a lot of things that can be avoided when one can cook with the sun. It's also great in terms of mitigation and adaptation. Solar cooking is incredibly cost effective because, as we said, there's no ongoing cost for fuel, requires no infrastructure. You can make one in your home. Quick implementation, it's accessible, and a people solution. So one of the things that Solar Cookers International does is we've been able to gather and track this data so we can really see and visualize the progress that the solar cooking sector is making. And so far, we've been able to identify over 4 million solar cookers worldwide. And you can actually contribute to this. So this is on our website, solarcookers.org. And we invite you to, if you have a solar cooker, add it to the map. And we estimate these over 4 million solar cookers have positively impacted over 14 million people. And we estimate they've made possible over 7 billion meals cooked with the sun. They've been able to, we estimate, reduce carbon dioxide emissions by about 30 million tons. And then with solar cooking, because there are so many health and environmental benefits, those actually lead to economic savings as well. Solar cooking can save a huge amount of money on the individual, household, country, and global scale as well. So Solar Cookers International was incredibly honored to be awarded the Keeling Curve Prize this past year by the Global Warming Mitigation Project. And we are so honored to have the Executive Director, Jacqueline Francis, here with us today to share a little bit more about what that means.
Hi, Caitlyn. I'm not even sure if you guys can see me because my internet connection is a little unstable over in Glasgow. And I am not getting a good enough signal. Hi, Caitlyn. I'm not sure if you can even see or hear me because I'm having a real hard time with my internet connection. Trying to get a better connection to work with you guys a little bit about the Keeling Curve Prize. And if anyone can hear me, it's been wonderful working with Solar Cookers International, and I will try to get a better connection.
All right, and we could hear you a little bit there at the end, Jackie. So it sounds like it's intermittent, but was working a little bit most recently. Maybe what we can do is Alan can tell us a bit more about Kakuma Refugee Camp, which is where Solar Cookers International has been working and was part of our application to the Keeling Curve Prize. So very much related. And yes, Jackie, if you're able to get a better connection, we certainly welcome you to rejoin the conversation when you're able to.
Okay, yes, thank you everybody for tuning in, and to carry on, I'd like to just take the story to a particular country, and that is Kenya in East Africa. And while I'll talk about Kenya as an example, case study, so to speak, a lot of the conditions that exist in Kenya are common throughout the developing world and many parts around our planet, where about half the people on our planet are still cooking using firewood and charcoal, and doing this in their homes where the room could be just filled with smoke, as you see in this picture. This is a picture from a typical Maasai village home in Kenya, and cooking is happening inside, and the woman who is tending to the fire is also taking care of some other tasks, washing dishes, and also taking care of a child nearby. So while this is happening, they're both breathing smoke, and that is harmful to their health. It can lead to stunting of growth, etc. And so what's baffling for us who are in the solar cooking sector is that outdoors, right as this picture is taken, I took the picture, it was bright and sunny. And so this option of turning to solar cooking is certainly applicable in this woman's life, and it's just about turning to another solution that could be added to what she already has available in her home. So on the next slide, I just want to talk about what we see at a refugee camp, Kakuma refugee camp, where SCI has a several years project going on, an initiative that involves a Kenyan-based organization, a community-based organization in Kenya. And this organization that we're working with, called Eco Mandate Foundation, is building solar ovens in Kenya using materials found in Kenya, and then ultimately for use in Kenya. So nothing is being imported. This helps keep the cost low and affordable. And it also leads to a certain amount of national pride. So that is what has brought us to Kakuma Refugee Camp in northern Kenya, where the administrators of the camp and the NGOs that are tasked with supplying firewood so that the refugees can cook their food, they're not able to supply nearly enough firewood, cooking fuel for the refugees. The refugees hence are then challenged by, well, what are we going to do? They do receive food rations, but they don't have enough fuel to cook the food that they have. So what this picture shows here is an impromptu fuels market, a cooking fuels market that can spring up in the camp. And it is led by some of the local population. So nearby villagers from the Turkana tribe will come in, and they're allowed into the camp, and they'll set up shop and sell firewood and sell charcoal. Refugees will either pay for some of this fuel with their precious money if they have it. If they don't have money, they do wind up bartering for the fuel, and sometimes the bartering will be in the form of food. So some of the food rations they have is now spent for fuel. So this is reality in Kakuma refugee camp. Meanwhile, there's a great amount of sunshine there. So this is where Solar Cookers International has found an opportunity and has worked with Eco Mandate to bring solar ovens to Kakuma. On the next slide, we can see one of these solar ovens. Actually, this was the very first of these solar ovens that we brought to Kakuma. And this is a family size solar oven that can cook for over 10 people per day. And it can cook sufficient food for the entire day. And this is built using an open source design. So there's no intellectual property infringement happening here. And these are open source designs that SCI does keep on its website and on our wiki pages. But what this allows is that it's another cooking solution, a clean and sustainable cooking solution that can be brought into families' lives. And the woman and her daughter shown here are just learning how to use the cooker in that picture. However, they now report that they save about $4 US a week because they are using this particular solar oven. So that's extraordinary for them. It can really be transforming to their lives, and it brings empowerment and really just it helps improve things in a great way. So they're become champions in using this particular solar oven. Okay, on the next slide, this is a picture of some of the foods that are cooked in this particular solar oven. And this is common for many solar cookers. they're able to cook a wide variety of food. And so what you're seeing here are some samples of local foods. Or when I say local, this also involves the people from South Sudan, from Somalia, Uganda, Rwanda, nearby countries where the refugees have come into this camp. Sometimes through some of those countries I mentioned. So it's a cooking culture of foods that collectively can be cooked with these solar ovens, and it's winding up being quite a successful initiative. Okay, on the next slide, this slide has a video, and I thought it would be nice to share this video of one of our new solar cooks, a new solar cooking champion, as she works with this solar oven. And then you'll see her family and children starting to enjoy some of the food. And I think we'll probably just play some of the video, and I'll go ahead and bow out at this time. Thank you.
Mama wa huko size 1. Nani? Amashani. Alisema atakuwa analeta maharagwe. Angalia huko.
Sijui ni jua ama kula tuone jua. Mapengu. Imeiva. Ni tamu.
All right, Alan, thank you so much for sharing about Solar Cookers International's work in Kakuma Refugee Camp, Kenya. We really appreciate you bringing that perspective and showing us what solar cooked food looks like. It's making me a little hungry. So as I mentioned before, Solar Cookers International works through three main ways: advocacy, research, and building capacity. And advocacy is a great reason why we are here at the United Nations Climate Conference, or COP26. And we're encouraging country governments to include solar cooking in their official plans to address climate change and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So, Mindy, can you tell us more about why that's important?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. Give me one sec. I thought we were getting to KCP right now, okay?
Ah, nice. Well, if they're available, that would be wonderful. I know we've had some technical difficulties because we are literally connecting from halfway around the world with everyone. So we appreciate
Right.
everybody's patience. Solar Cookers International is based in Sacramento, California, in the United States, and we're calling in from Glasgow, Scotland, in the UK. So literally a global movement right now.
Are you able to tell if Jackie's back in?
I believe they are ready. So yes.
I'm
And
gonna
sorry.
go backwards, okay?
All right, thank you everybody for their patience. So yes, the Global Warming Mitigation Project, we welcome you to share your voice. And Jackie, it looks like you're on mute.
Yep. Okay, here I am. Okay, thank you, Caitlin, and thanks, Mindy, for all you guys are doing. I'm sorry about my technical problems, but I've heard that maybe Glasgow is having a entire network problem, and somebody just told me that it could be a part of COP trying to get the attention of the leaders, but who knows on that. Anyway, my name's Jackie Francis, and I am the executive director of Global Warming Mitigation Project. And it is the organization that runs the Keeling Curve Prize, which Solar Cookers International was a 2021 winner for the Keeling Curve Prize, which is about reducing greenhouse gases around the world. So here we go with the story. We have a big problem. We have too many greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and we keep putting more and more and more. And not only do we have to stop, but we have to find solutions to the way we do things. And Solar Cookers International is one of those solutions. And I'm going to tell a story about the organization. In 2017, we set out to find solutions, and now we have 3 main programs and more on the way, including a solar project in Africa. The sphere is the entire network of all the programs and projects that we work with around the world. The constellations is our internship program, and I'd like to move on to telling you guys about the constellations. So next slide. Oh, no, it looks like I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the sphere. So the sphere is made up of the network of people that have applied for the Keeling Curve Prize. And the stratosphere is our partners that are working to fund these organizations around the world and support the prize in all kinds of different ways. I actually just met somebody tonight who wants to do stories about organizations that have either won the Keeling Curve Prize or have been inspiring to people around the world. And we might have to get Solar Cookers International to do some more stories with people who are looking to amplify their work. So now let's move on to the constellations. Okay, so the constellations are something that we started during COVID, and it is an amazing program that gets young people who've been looking to get into climate careers to have internships with programs and projects around the world. And these young people, and it's actually not just young people, sometimes it's people that are mid-career that want to make a career shift or something like that. But the young people who are coming from schools such as Stanford, Harvard, Cornell, and also Howard, and underrepresented places around the world or around the country are getting opportunities to work with the organizations that are working in places like Haiti, South Africa, India, and doing everything from being engineers to data collectors to social media influencers to bloggers to putting together the grants for organizations and really filling the niche that these organizations need. And the young people have an incredible amount of talent in these areas. So that's our Constellations program. Now let's move on to the Keeling Curve Prize. All right, this is the Keeling Curve Prize, our flagship program. We are very focused in climate science. We have 5 categories that include energy, social and cultural pathways, transport and mobility, finance, and what we're now calling carbon sinks, which are natural and high-tech carbon sequestration and utilization organizations. So we have about 1,100 applicants to date. We had 80 finalists over the last 4 years and 40 Keeling Curve Prize laureates, including SCI. Next slide. So our process is started with the applications coming through the door. And I have to say that we have opened the 2022 Keeling Curve Prize application. But it also begins with our analysts who go through all the applications that come in. And these are our 7 analysts from last year. We're going to probably add a few more for this year's process because we're expecting more applications. And these are some of the smartest climate scientists around the world. Next slide. This is a snapshot of our advisory council. These are the people that I ask the questions of, what are you seeing around the world? What do we need to like amplify? What do we need to talk about? Where are areas that we need to actually highlight and identify climate solutions? And these are people that really know what they're doing. And I'm very proud to call most of them my advisory council and my friends. Next slide. So we also have an amazing team of judges, and the judges' work is hard, but not that hard because we only give them 20 finalists and then they pick the best of those 20. And this was our 2021 judging panel. And again, these are the ones that picked Solar Cookers International to be the winners. Next slide. So these were our Keeling Curve Prize 2021 winners. Working in the 5 areas that we give the prize to, and we're really, really happy to include this group of organizations in our Keeling Curve Prize laureate family. So congratulations to Solar Cookers International, and we're really happy to be a part of the bigger, brighter family with you all. Next slide. My friend Rocky Dawuni is going to speak next, and I just have to go grab him. So I'm going to hand it back to Caitlyn for a second, and then we'll grab Rocky and get him on.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for sharing those words and for sharing your perspective. The Keeling Curve Prize has just meant so much for Solar Cookers International. We've been working, like I said, for over 30 years, and to have this kind of recognition for our organization and really focusing on solutions, because I think it's so easy to get lost in the challenge and the scale of it. But really being a part of the Keeling Curve Prize and the Global Warming Mitigation Project family has just allowed so many more people to learn about solar cooking, which is really one of the main things we're trying to do in reaching those 3 billion people. So, all right, it sounds like we've got Rocky joining us.
I can't even hear. Okay. Yeah.
And it's been awesome. We've been able to have a lot of positive media coverage coming out of the Keeling Curve Prize, which has been another additional benefit in letting people know about solar cooking. All right, we see Rocky, and if you can unmute yourself so we can hear you, that would be great. Rocky, I really enjoyed speaking with you earlier today, so we're hoping you'll share a similar perspective during our event. So yeah, maybe you can just introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background.
My name is Taroki Dawuni. I am from Ghana in West Africa. I am also Goodwill Ambassador for United Nations Environment for all of Africa. And then I am also an ambassador for the Clean Cooking Alliance. And then, you know, I serve on various leadership councils too, including the RFK Human Rights. And, you know, I've always believed in, you know, ideas and, you know, growing up in Ghana, you know, everywhere you turn, there was a need for some issue that required attention, you know. So as my stature and in terms of as a musician started growing, I also recognized the importance of the platform, you know, to, you know, that your legacy is valuable only when you're able to transform that to impact your community and also spur real change. So that really led me into, you know, things that I felt were, you know, could transform, where low, should I say, required, you know, less investment, but could have huge impact on community and individuals. And, you know, one of the things that really, us today, you know, we were having our press conference at COP, you know, when it comes to Africa, you know, sunlight is our biggest asset. You know, I remember growing up, you know, everybody saying, okay, Ghana is the center of the world because we were right on the, you know, zero latitude and close to the zero longitude, you know, so we always relate the fact that we had, in the midday, we had the sunlight over our head. And I also recognize that, you know, when it comes to transformation, the history of Africa, when you look at Egypt, the most important deity in Egypt was Ra, the sun god. And, you know, the sun represented renewal, regeneration. And at a time too, when the whole world is talking about new ways of, you know, redirecting the direction of humanity, especially from an age that our industrialization and our march to progress was steeped in exploitation of fossil fuels and other extractive, you know, energy sources that in the long run has led us to a point where the very place that we call home, which is the earth, is threatened. I feel that also the solution has been a solution that has always existed with us. You know, the abundance of sunlight, you know, the recreate, and because it's also something that has to do with regeneration, we are at a crossroads where we need to regenerate, change our ways, find new ways of bringing development and innovation in communities by putting the community first. Profit is important, especially when you talk about business and entrepreneurship, but it's even much more greater value when you can create that with bringing the community as partners. So in my advocacy, I've always also looked for not only being a conduit of communicating from the high tables of United Nations to the communities, but also being able to take ideas and vision and perspective and aspirations too of communities that didn't have the opportunity to also bring that, distill that into the centers of big decision making. And I feel that a lot of times it has boiled down to preservation, conservation of the earth and then also taking the power that is innately abundant within the earth as a tool for healing. Because right now, everybody's talking about climate change. Everybody's talking about us being at the precipice of great calamity. So we've hurt our planet and hurt ourselves. And at this point, how do we heal? We heal by going to the fundamentals, by going to the origins and the source, and trying to find the answers within this space in order for us to heal and then rebuild and regenerate so that we can move forward in a way that possibly maybe the crisis that we're facing is an opportunity for us to recreate something that will be sustainable and lead the world to a much more stable, stable systems, and something that will also bring in an opportunity to create new industries that are not based upon the destruction and overexploitation of this incredibly beautiful gift that we all have, which is the earth. And so solar, for me, the question always goes back to solar, the abundance of it, the opportunity that if we, right now, all the world leaders talking about all these great ideas, everything, but if we can go to the simplest things of replanting trees, investing heavily in solar research. I mean, there's a lot of research that has already been done, but taking this and fast tracking this as the direction of humanity, I feel that we will create a new pathway that will not only power new industries, but power a new kind of prosperity that will be in harmony with the intentions of the earth. Because in the long run, you know, the earth will continue existing with or without us. But from time immemorial, you put seed in the ground and it grows. You don't even know how that happens. It's just a miracle of life. So we have to engage in initiatives, you know, create systems, invest in ideas that will maintain that harmony, at the same time to bring and keep, you know, supporting the human family now and forevermore.
Rocky, thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I just love hearing you speak because, you know, you've clearly thought about these things a lot and how it impacts your personal life and the decisions that you make, and as well as how you choose to spend your time and what you invest that in. And you so beautifully explained, you know, the value of partnerships and utilizing the resources that are given to us every day. So we very much appreciate you sharing your time and your perspective, and what a gift to have both of you associated with the Keeling Curve Prize speaking with us today and sharing your voice. So thank you very much.
I'm also very honored at the opportunity of also meeting the, you know, the Solar Cookers International team. It looks like there's like, you know, when you have an intention, the intention also has its aspiration to manifest. So you end up crossing paths with the people too who are walking the same path. And, you know, I remember like Alan would send me photos, will send me ideas, will send me, you know, inspirational words on what was going on the ground. And then once, you know, I also got involved with the folks from the Keeling, you know, Curve Prize too. And then all of a sudden I heard, you know, solar cookers. I'm like, oh, I know everybody from here. And it also shows the dedication and, you know, that you're also working in that space to bring, you know, the power, to harness that power of the sun to people, even, you know, like refugees and ordinary people that are at the end of the pyramid, where most people are talking about the bigger idea, about forgetting that if we don't impact this level, then we really, you know, we have lost our ability to also serve all of humanity. And I feel that Solar Cookers has been diligently working in this space in a way that I'm very honored to have cross paths, and I continue to be a big supporter of the work that you're doing, and looking forward for solar to become, a few years from now, when we come to the COP, every attention would be to push this, the technologies and innovation in this space as the primary focus of world leaders, business leaders, and everybody involved in. So thank you for having me also on this.
We appreciate it, Rocky. Thank you so much for recognizing that diligence. And it's exactly building these important relationships like with you, you know, it takes getting to know each other and sharing information and finding opportunities, because I think if any one of us could have solved these big, you know, global issues by ourselves, we would have. But you know, that brings about the opportunity to work together with amazing people such as yourself, who really understand and care about these issues, and are looking for opportunities to collaborate. So we very much appreciate that. yeah, I know we've had multiple conversations together as organizations and as individuals, and I know this is just the start of it. So it's going to
thank you for your
continue.
leadership. Thank you for your leadership.
It's going to continue to build momentum. And
Yes.
so I appreciate your vision. And I think we're all working towards similar goals, which is just really inspiring. So we appreciate your perspective.
Thank you very, very much.
All right. Well, maybe with that, we can let Minji share a little bit about what some of our goals are in terms of our advocacy work, and how we can take Rocky's vision and translate it into a few tangible examples as well, in terms of how we're inviting other people to become a part of this solar cooking commitment and solar cooking movement.
Thank you, Caitlin and Rocky. Thank you for being so inspirational. That just makes my heart happy. And thank you, Jackie. And I also want to thank the organizers of this event. It's an honor to be here today. I'm getting to virtually participate in COP. That's thrilling. So thank you, Caitlin. I'll continue with the theme of why is this all important, and why is SCI and others at COP, why are we working together? It's really important. I want everyone to have a full understanding that solar cooking supports all 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So that means countries can include solar cooking in a variety of national plans, national policies as a climate mitigation and adaptation strategy. Increasing the adoption of solar cooking through policy inclusion can result in tremendous economic savings at the individual and country levels. Caitlin alluded to that a little bit earlier. Solar cooking can save one family 1 ton of wood on average per year. That saves them a lot of time and money. So just imagine the impact of solar cooking with almost 3 billion people still cooking over open fires around the globe if they incorporate solar cooking into their cooking habits. So these impacts have been quantified. We calculated the estimated economic savings for over 100 countries, and these savings are derived from the avoided environmental and health costs achieved through solar cooking. These impact summaries, there's an example of Nepal on your screen. They show the population numbers and population percentages relying on polluting fuels to cook. The summaries show the carbon dioxide tons prevented with the current identified number of solar cookers in a country, and the potential carbon dioxide tons prevented if the family's cooking with polluting fuels used solar cooking. Many environmental and health costs associated with cooking with polluting fuels are avoided when you change to solar cooking, when you incorporate that into your cooking habits. These impact summaries provide an estimated savings for each country, some of which are in the billions. Yes, that's with a B, billions of dollars annually. People can use these projected savings when seeking partnerships and support for solar cooking in their country, and as evidence for the value of increasing solar cooking. SCI strongly encourages countries to include solar cooking as a climate solution in their nationally determined contributions, also known as NDC reports, and their voluntary national reviews, the DNRs. The NDCs are at the heart of the Paris Agreement. NDCs embody efforts by countries to reduce national emissions and adapt to the impacts of climate change. At this time, 194 countries have submitted their first NDC report. SCI has been tracking the inclusion of clean cooking and solar cooking in the NDC reports for years. Out of 194 countries, 66 countries now mention cooking or cook stoves, acknowledging that how people cook impacts climate. The 66 countries include plans to switch to clean or cleaner cooking, though only one country, Somalia, specifically mentions solar cooking as their intended solution. 50 countries mentioned cooking or cook stoves 2 years ago, so we are seeing an increase in including clean cooking in country plans. The United States is showing increasing support of clean cooking and climate mitigation. 40 world leaders convened at the Leader Summit on Climate in April this year, where it was stated that the US aims to take a global leadership role in climate change mitigation. In June of this year, the US Environmental Protection Agency Chief Michael Regan stated the US's intention to support clean cooking around the world. SCI appreciates the high level recognition that household cooking emissions are a serious environmental issue, and clean cooking is recognized as a feasible solution for the overheating of the earth that we all inhabit. This development fits in well with our overall global advocacy strategy to get more country governments to be aware of and show their support for solar cooking. We encourage the US government to increase awareness and provide financial support through organizations such as USAID for renewable energy like solar thermal cooking. SCI is grateful for our supporters that make work in Kakuma and other regions possible, and we're encouraged to see growing support from the US government. And Caitlyn will describe a bit about the publicity solar cooking is receiving around the world.
Thank you, Mindy, for sharing these examples. So we've been able to be featured in Manga Bay as well as CNN International. And a really important aspect of what Solar Cookers International does is we bring the voices of our collaborators and our global advisors. So you have the opportunity to hear from solar cooking experts literally from all around the world. And that's actually one of the benefits that you can see we've been having with more virtual events is we are able to bring these voices from literally all around the world. So with that, I think Mindy's going to share a bit more about our resources, which we do provide to a variety of audiences, including schools, as a lot of lessons like geography and physics are very applicable coming from solar cooking.
Thanks again, Caitlyn. So as Caitlyn mentioned, we offer a multitude of resources to increase solar cooking internationally, nationally, and on a community-wide basis. We build capacity in the solar cooking sector by creating and sharing these materials, which connects people and organizations to those materials and to each other. And then through these resources, SCI is sharing best practices to encourage increased adoption of solar cooking all around the world. One of these resources is depicted here. This resource is named after a very dedicated solar cooking advocate named John Collentine. It's an online collection of materials geared for multiple audiences, and it serves multiple purposes depending on who you are and what your needs are. And it's arranged into very user-friendly modules. It's equally effective for a novice solar cook learning to solar cook their very first dish, or for a Prime Minister of Energy planning on scaling up the adoption of solar cooking in their country. We encourage everyone to use this online resource to increase solar cooking in their country. This other resource, the Solar Cooking Wiki, is the world's largest online solar cooking resource. It currently has over 1,800 pages of information about best practices, country-specific solar cooking tips, how to build solar cookers, and news and events. So this Solar Cooking Wiki is a wealth of helpful information. Info on the wiki can be translated into 45 languages, so you can explore and add your own information to this powerful resource. With the help of cooking experts, solar cooking experts from around the globe, SCI developed surveys and assessments to assess the need and desire for solar cooking in communities and to gather data about the adoption and impact of solar cookers once the projects are initiated and underway. This data is really critical in building the evidence base about the effectiveness and impacts of projects. Newly trained solar cooks provide feedback about using their solar cookers, how much money and fuel they are saving, what challenges they need to address through continued ongoing follow-up. The survey results help SCI identify best practices, and then we share them with the solar cooking sector at large for successful increased adoption of solar cooking. And I'd really like to add, we are highlighting some projects, initiatives in Kakuma and other parts of the world. Solar cooking is as applicable in the United States, or it can be appropriately used in the United States as in faraway places. I personally am a solar cook, so is Alan, so is Caitlyn. We all use them in our yards and avoid heating up our kitchens with our ovens and our ranges. And we, I'm happy to say, make delicious meals. And there's quite a demographic in America that too could benefit from the use of harnessing the free energy of the sun to cook their meals. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alan, I believe, yes, Caitlyn.
Thank you, Mindy, for that wonderful overview of our advocacy work. I am aware that we have limited time and we have so many things that Solar Cookers International does. What I'm going to do is I'm going to invite each of you to visit our website, which is solarcookers.org. Mindy gave us a wonderful preview of many of the resources, which are just some. We also have some wonderful event recordings, interviews with global advisors, information on things like carbon credits. And this is all really to strengthen the solar cooking sector. So all of us can do what we're doing better and share knowledge with each other and best practices to really continue to scale up and reach those 3 billion people. So I do invite you to check this out, solarcookers.org. And also, if you're interested in engaging more with Solar Cookers International while we are at this United Nations Climate Conference, COP26, we actually have 5 more press conferences coming up. Tomorrow, Friday, and 3 the following week, all 10:15 to 10:45 in the press conference room for NGOs. We also have a virtual event as well. It's virtual and in person with the World Health Organization coming up. That'll be on Thursday, the 11th of November. So if you are outside of Glasgow, please feel free to register. And if you're in Glasgow, please feel free to join us in the Blue Zone at the WHO Pavilion. We also will be having a side event at the Cryosphere. And as well, we'll be doing an event with the Women and Gender constituency. All of this is on our website, solarcookers.org. So you can access the links or find the details in terms of where to find us. We do want to say a really big thank you to our guest speakers who made time in their day and their busy COP schedule to join us. We want to say thank you to everybody who makes the solar cooking movement a success, our global advisors, our board of directors, our United Nations representatives, all of our volunteers, our associates, our collaborators, and really especially thank you to our supporters, because without them, we wouldn't be able to be here talking with you today, sharing this awesome information about solar cooking. And I do really want to extend a special thank you to our hosts for this session for giving us this opportunity to share information. So thank you so much to the U.S. Climate Action Center for having us here today. Thank you so much.